You Gotta Believe. This is the latest film from Well Go USA Entertainment, and it stars Luke Wilson, Greg Kinnear, Sarah Gadon, and also Patrick Renner. Yes, the same guy from The Sandlot. You're killing me, Smalls. It's in the same style as The Sandlot, and I'm excited to talk to you about this because it's about the Little League World Series, which is something that I like to watch every year. But this is from 2002. You have a ragtag group of kids trying to make their way to Pennsylvania, Williamsport, to that big tournament up there. And there's a lot of hardships along the way. And I can't wait to talk to you about it in my next Conservative Take. If you're unfamiliar with the way I do my movie reviews, then please click the link right here or in the description, and that will tell you everything you need to know. This video won't have any spoilers, so no need to worry about that. So let's first talk about the story of You Gotta Believe. And there isn't really much to say, and I typically don't give biops much of a story because it is what it is. Sometimes stories take something in there and they make it more dramatic, like a Raging Bull, or I don't know, films that basically take something and just, like a Lawrence of Arabia, that sort of thing, take real people and then draw something around it. This is not that. This is pretty much a documentary style film, which takes you from A to B through a timeline of these kids and their lives and their experience of growing up in Texas, being a bad team, having brothers and sisters or teammates that you may or may not agree with, that you fight with, that you have fun with. They're kids, they're boys. And it's one thing I want to talk about really in this is about the boys. This is a boy film. And it's such a rare thing to see boys being boys, boys talking like boys, boys goofing off like boys, using trash language like boys, thinking like boys. Boys think kind of strange. I know, I was one. And this film doesn't shy away from that. In today's climate, where we don't want to make boys boys anymore, this film is basically flying in the face of that. So that's why I give this thing right up, a thumbs up for that, if nothing else. The boys act like boys. They talk like we talked. In fact, we talk worse. This film's rated PG, so they can't say too much. But yeah, it's what they say. It comes out of their mouth. It's really, really funny. And the way they interact with adults too. And the fact is, I feel old because this is 2002, but that was 20 years ago, 22 years ago. And so it's mind-boggling. They're talking about players like Ichiro and like Kansenko. I'm like, he's not good. I mean, not anymore, but back in 2002, Jose Canseco was the man. And so that was also interesting about this film. So, and I'll get to it a little bit more, but you probably already know this film is based on the fact that one of the coaches has a terminal illness and he's trying to be there for his wife, his kids, his players, and trying to cope with all that while having to deal with this, while taking this team to the pinnacle of baseball. The only thing really bigger than this probably would be the World Series of college and the World Series in real life, the MLB. This is big time. It's very difficult for a team to pull in and get that far. Nevertheless, guys, this film does have undertones that are pretty dark and pretty sad. And so I won't go any more there, but I'll just stick with that. And the story I have at a 5, which I thought is pretty good for a biopic. For the emotional impact, as I laid in before, is a very, very emotional film, as you can imagine. And it talks pretty much about dads and their sons and that connection, that relationship with their sons. Again, this is kind of counterculture as well. The men in this particular movie are all white, and they're all a strong type of person. Again, something you don't see much in TV shows and movies anymore. You typically see the Homer Simpson bumbling, stumbling, or the family man, or just a total degenerate type of person. But these people are men who love their kids, their family, their wives, want to do the right thing, and show real courage in doing so. For the intangibles, I have it a 6, but it probably could be a little higher because we do have a really, really good cast here. Luke Wilson and Greg Kinnear do a fantastic job in this film. I think Greg really does a good job of bringing in the emotional element He's a really talented actor. I first saw him in a movie with Jack Nicholson called As Good as It Gets. He was hilarious in that film, the kind of the pouting kind of sidekick, and he plays that role fine then, but he plays it sort of here as well, but he has his moments where he can step up into being more of a man, more responsible, more of a leader, and more confident. He doesn't have a lot of confidence. His wife, she's a strong woman as well, who builds him up, who supports him, and again, that is kind of counterculture nowadays, where we have families that love each other and support each other. For watchability, I give this film an 8 because I think it is a Sandlot type film. It's clever, it's quirky. The director takes really, really strange interpretations of how to do a scene. And it wasn't until I realized that, why are you just choosing to shoot this film this way? Speeding it up or first person or whatever and something like that. And I'm like, then I realized, you know what? He's taking this from the mind and point of view of a kid. And once you understand that, everything else makes sense. Everything else falls into play. You understand his director style. These are kids. So the movie's already going to be a little hokey and a little bit disjointed in parts, which it is. But it's coming from the mindset of a young boy, and that's their perspective. And once you grasp that, then you can sit back and have fun with it. Again, think Sandlot. And again, I mentioned to you about the cameo was pretty good. When I saw him, I was like, you know what? I know where they're going with this, and you can definitely feel it. Even in the way they shot it, cinematography is very, very muted. It looks really aged. It looks like it's old in some ways. And 22 years ago, in some ways, it is old. So the way it was shot, it did make it seem like it was a period piece, if I can even say that. And so from an overall rating of You Gotta Believe, it's going to be a 7, and that's a very solid score. And I'm going to give it a recommendation of go for my conservative take. It's rated PG, good for the whole family. There's some crude language in there, but kids already have heard that and probably already say much worse anyway. So there's that. As far as any spoilers, there's no need for that because this film is totally anti-woke. It's perfect for families. There's nothing in here that I see even remotely can tie into anything we see today in terms of cultural Marxism. Not in this film at all. There is one instance where there's a blaspheme statement in there one time in the film. I saw that. But other than that, that's about the end of it. So for that, I recommend this movie for you and your family. And let me know in the comments below what you think about what I thought about the themes and how the men are portrayed and how the women support the men and how the children are in there. And then there's a scene where also with the kids actually are really angry and how they deal with that and how they come together and deal with it. So I think it's a very positive film, especially in today's age. So I recommend this film for you and your family. So you tell me, what do you think? Do you plan on seeing You Gotta Believe? It opens in theaters this weekend. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts.